Good morning, children. We now reached the next module, that's about the taxonomic evidences. What are the sources of evidences for taxonomy, for studying taxonomy? What are the various branches of botany that you will depend in order to study taxonomy? I think most of the sessions we are discussing today is familiar with you. Still, we need it again for our examinations. Okay. So, characters from any part, any phase of development of a plant is taken into consideration while studying taxonomy. Okay. So, it is very important for explaining and classifying a plant. There are some of the characters that are widely using or commonly using. For example, the structure flower, the stamens, number of stamens, adhesion, cohesion of stamens, and also gamopetalous, polypetalous, such conditions we are commonly using. But some of the factors like the character of endosperms, then glands features, etc., we are less used. And there are also some of them are modern and some of them are ancient. Morphology is a very ancient one, but the modern one include the molecular studies, DNA sequencing, etc. So, these are very essential for studying taxonomy, like various branches, sources like morphology, anatomy, then embryology, cytology, phytochemistry, etc. we use for taxonomy. Okay. Then of this very latest technique is what? Molecular biology. Okay. DNA sequencing, that is very important, and also new aspects like chemotaxonomy and cytotaxonomy are also involving. Clear? Okay. Now, so first part is what? Morphology. So this is the very important and very simple and most appropriate tool that we are using in order to study taxonomy. Okay. And why we are using this? Because we can see them, and even by looking the herbarium specimens you can study. Okay. And in fossil study also we preferably we use what? Morphology or anatomy. This is very simple technique. Okay. There is no taxonomy without a morphology, and there are exomorphic as well as endomorphic characters. Some of the characters that we can see from outside very clearly, like structure of leaf, bracts, bracteoles, stipioles, petals, sepals, etc. But some of the structures like stomata, we will discuss, we will observe, that is under microscope, its morphology, that is endomorphic characters. Okay. So, some of the most of the natural systems are based on what? Exomorphic characters. Clear? Now, so the simple technique, morphology, this is the foundation of taxonomy, and it is the traditional oldest methods, and it is the biggest source of what? Taxonomy. Okay. Then why we are studying? It is easily observable, no need of sophisticated laboratory. From the field itself you can observe and study. You just need a pen and a notebook, note it down, bring it back to the class or laboratory, then you can work out. Very simple. Clear? Now, so under this morphology, external morphology, we usually prefer floral characters. There are vegetative characters also, but we usually prefer floral characters, because vegetative characters are unstable one, but floral characters are stable one. Why? Because these vegetative characters usually depends on the habitat where they are growing. Clear? Environmental factors influence the vegetative characters. But when you think about the reproductive features, that is simple one, that is permanent or that is constant. That's why. For example, when you select a plant like Promna ceratifolia in Munya, Pura Munya, this is growing in laterite soil, wetland soil, sandy soil and so on. But in each type, its leaf structures vary. So, 5 different morphotypes are available. But when you look upon its flower, there is no, its characters no change. That is the significance of floral characters over vegetative characters. Clear? So, under floral characters you can study inflorescence, flowers and associated structures. Okay. Now, some of the characters we usually neglect. Morphological characters like staminal filaments, lodicules in the case of Gramineae, nectaries, palm leaf base, branching shapes, etc. usually we ignore because that is difficult to study. Then common vegetative characters we look upon include habits, growth habits, herb, shrub, tree, climber, epiphytes, paraphytes, etc. Then growth pattern, for example, in the Zingiberaceae, rhizome with disticusly arranged leaves. Okay, the leaf characters, some of them species you can differentiate based on leaf characters, number of leaflets in that compound leaf, etc. See, Salpiniaceae is very good example. We can differentiate species like that. Underground part is another example. Root tubers in Dioscorea members. Seedling characters are a consideration. Then pubescence structures like hairs on the surface, trichomes, stylar hairs, they are all considering. One example is Nyctanthus is placed in Oleaceae. First, Oleaceae mainly due to the basis of structure of trichomes. So that's also very, very important. Clear? Okay. Now, reproductive features, inflorescence and flowers, types and position of flower, structure of perianth, symmetry, stamen, carpel, ovule, nectaries, floral disc, then fruit characters, seed characters. Some of these characters are constant within the family or within the genus. For example, you can say the leguminous family, Leguminosae, Fabaceae. Legume is a common fruits. Clear? Then another example is the symmetry, zygomorphy condition present in these members of Papilionaceae. Presence of nectaries or disc in Euphorbiaceae. So some are very unique to particular family or particular genus. Clear? Okay. Now, microscopic morphology includes trichomes, study of structure of glands, it may be branched, simple or etc. having high taxonomic value. Okay. Then epidermal cells, studies on epidermal cells, that is known as dermogram. It includes hairs, stomata, etc. For example, Isoaceae and Potlacaceae. In order to study the members, they are prepared a key mainly based on these surface patterns. Okay. Then pollen wall ornamentation and stomata type. See, stomata type is very important. Some of the family are characterized by special type of stomata. One example is Ranunculaceae, anomocytic stomata. You studied it in your anatomy classes. So that is ranunculaceous type, specific to the particular family. Then cruciferous type, anisocytic. Caryophyllaceous type, diacytic. Then rubiaceous parasitic. That is present only in the rubiacean members. See, you can see the different types of stomata, anomocytic, aniso, diacytic, parasitic and so on. Okay. Now, different types of hairs, unicellular, pluricellular, glandular. These are specific to specific genera or specific to particular family members. Lamiaceae characterized by the presence of glandular hairs. Some of the Scrophulariaceae members also having glandular hairs, Rutaceae members etc. also having glands. Then that is about the morphology. So, exomorphology, endomorphology, different structures. Now, we are move on to the second important evidence, that is anatomy. So, you know, anatomical evidence in different way it is useful in identification of some of the fragmentary materials. Then preliminary identification of herbarium material, in studying evolutionary relationship etc. So, if you got a part of a plant, a stem part, you can cut it and you can section it. By looking into the features, you can identify this belongs to this particular group. Okay. Then by herbarium also likewise, and by using this you can study the evolutionary relationship. For example, in the case of Neetum, you know, presence of vessels. When you take other pteridophytes, there is no vessels, there is no such structures, tracheids characters, vessels characters etc. may vary. So, looking upon that you can study. Okay. Now, vegetative anatomy mainly includes leaf anatomy. So, particular members having different specific leaf anatomy. So, Euphorbiaceae, Cyperaceae and Graminae are characterized by special type of leaf anatomy. That is also help as an important key for identifying species. Okay. The nature and thickness of epidermis is also very important. Vein structure, mesophyll, pattern of sclerenchyma, silica bodies, Then you know cystolith, rhaphides, starch grains. These are also very important. Silica bodies are characteristic feature of families Zingiberaceae. So these are all some of the important points coming under leaf anatomy. Okay. Now stem anatomy is also peculiar to some species. Some species of Asteraceae classified mainly based on stem anatomy. For example, collenchyma thickeners, stem endodermis, special in Piperaceae and Asteraceae, arrangement of vascular bundles, amphicribal vascular bundles, then starch grains, then presence of types of tracheids, its structure, etc. Then another important branch is the floral anatomy. The origin of families mainly Annonaceae and Ranungulaceae. Its conformation, Annonaceae and Ranungulaceae, mainly done by floral anatomy. Then Paeonia is a genera that first they are kept in Ranungulaceae, then move on to special family Paeoniaceae, mainly because of floral anatomy. Then Cyperaceae and Poaceae separated Hutchinson by using this criteria. Then Solanaceae and Scrofulariaceae included in Scrofulariales, mainly due to the similarity in floral vasculature. So usually we people neglect floral structure, floral anatomy, but that is also very significant and that is usually taken into consideration while studying a genera or family likewise. Clear? Okay. Now this is the floral anatomy. Now we are move on to the third evidence, that is embryology. So you studied embryology in detail in your last semester. So you know some of the families characterized by particular type of embryo, endosperm, embryo sac, etc. So this is very important in analyzing evolutionary trends and also helps us to take decision regarding systematic position. Okay. So what are the characters we will consider? Mainly anther, type of anther tapetum, structure of tapetum, the number and arrangement of anther locules, types of endothecium, etc. And also development of organization of pollen grains, very very important. Microsporogenesis is important. Ovule, its orientation, orthotropous, anatropous, campylotropous, likewise. Then nucellus and its form. Two groups, crassinucellate and tenuinucellate. You know how it is differentiated. So that is peculiar feature of some of the families. Okay, genera. Then megaspore, its arrangement. Embryo sac, allium type. You studied embryo sac. It's different types. Polygonum, likewise. Then seed coat also. These are the special features under embryology we are considering. Okay, one simple example is monocotyledonate and dicotyledonate. That is our major classification. Okay, Bentham Hooker divided it into like that. So that is by cotyledons. That's an embryological character, no, cotyledon. Okay. Then morphologically well defined and uniform embryological features are observed in some of the genera. Okay. Polygonales, plumbaginales, plumbago type, polygonum type embryo sac development. In the family Menianthaceae, Oleaceae, they are included in the gentianales order. Clear? But removed from this because of the special structure of integumentary tapetum and cellular endosperm. So for a long time that is included under Menianthaceae, but then they are removed from gentianales, they are removed. Clear? Then Helobiae order in monocot is characterized by helobial type of endosperm. Then another one, Orchidaceae with undifferentiated embryo. You studied it with microspermae, the character. Okay, that is also very very important, significant in studying taxonomy, the role of embryology. Understood? Okay. Then one more example, Caryophyllales. Its peculiar feature, trinucleate pollen grain, crassinucellate ovule, curved seed with curved embryo, etc. Okay. Then Ericales is a family characterized by pollen in tetrads. Okay. Liliaceae characterized embryological features. So Amaryllidaceae and Liliaceae are distinguished by like that. Then Lemnaceae evolved from Araceae. It is proved mainly by taking embryological features and it is not related to helobial. So some examples you have to mention while discussing the applications of embryology in taxonomy. Understood? Okay. See some of the unilocular reniform anthers structures. It's locules, how many microspores is there in tetrads, likewise it arranged. Okay. The development of embryo, then the cotyledons, single, corn seed, monocot, bean seed, dicot, dicotyledone and monocotyledone. See, this is the structure in orchids. See how very small microscopic microspores arranged. No endosperm. So I hope or I am stopping here while discussing taxonomic evidences. What are the evidences? You need mainly morphology. By giving examples, what are the different morphological features you will consider. What is anatomical features, you will consider some examples. Then embryological features and some examples. Then some portions are remaining, palynology, cytotaxonomy, biosystematics, that I will discuss in the next session. Okay. So thank you.